It was a regular Tuesday afternoon, just after lunch. I was at the grocery store, holding 2 bell peppers, trying to decide which one was perfect. Then, my phone buzzed. It was our family group chat, a sprawling digital gathering of 47 relatives, and a message from my sister, Sarah, stopped me cold. Her words flashed on the screen, stark against the brightness of the produce aisle. My nephew is why I'm pro-choice. The red pepper I'd been weighing slipped from my fingers, thudding softly back into the bin. Sarah, my younger sister, just 3 years my junior. This was the same Sarah who'd borrowed my college textbooks and returned them with coffee rings, the one who'd sobbed on my shoulder after her first heartbreak. The aunt who, every Christmas, would buy my son, Leo, the most elaborate gifts and then pose for pictures with him, her arm around his shoulders, both of them beaming. Leo was 13. He had autism, ADHD, and a heart condition that needed careful watching, but none of that stopped him from being the kindest, funniest kid I've ever known. He collected vintage comic books, could recite entire nature documentaries, and every Sunday, he'd make me breakfast, slightly burnt toast with a ridiculous amount of butter, just how he thought I liked it. And my own sister had just declared to our entire family that he shouldn't exist. My phone vibrated again. And again. The chat was a torrent of messages. Cousin Olivia, Sarah, what the hell? Uncle David, that's your nephew you're talking about. Aunt Michelle, this is abhorrent. But then, there were other voices, Sarah's friends, some of Mark's relatives. Sarah's reply popped up almost instantly, I'm just being honest. If I had known what I know now, I would have made a different choice. Some lives are harder than they need to be. I stood there, paralyzed, reading that sentence repeatedly. The grocery store's fluorescent lights felt blinding. A woman bumped into me with her cart, mumbled an apology, but I didn't even register it. Leo was at school. He had his own phone, his own access to the family group chat. My parents had always insisted all the grandkids feel included. He was going to see every single word his aunt had written about him. I just abandoned my cart right there in the aisle and walked out to my car. My hands trembled so violently I could barely grasp the steering wheel. When I finally got home, I sat in the driveway for 20 minutes, staring at my phone. The family chat now showed 127 unread messages. I couldn't bring myself to open them. Instead, I found myself scrolling through old photos, all the way back to last July. The image was still there. I'd captured it accidentally, or that's what I told myself. 8 months ago, I'd been at Sarah and Mark's beach house in Maryland for the 4th of July weekend. Leo was swimming with his cousins, the adults were drinking wine on the deck. I'd gone inside to use the bathroom, took a wrong turn down a hallway. Through a partially open bedroom door, I saw Sarah. And she wasn't alone. The man wasn't Mark. It was Thomas, Mark's business partner. They were standing close, too close, and then they weren't standing anymore. My phone had come up instinctively, snapping one quick shot before my brain even caught up. I'd backed away, silent, my heart pounding. I deleted the photo immediately. Or so I thought. 2 weeks later, during a moment of wine-fueled curiosity, I found it in my recently deleted folder. I kept it. Insurance, maybe. Or just proof that my sister wasn't quite the perfect person she so carefully curated during family gatherings, with all her charitable foundation work and social media posts about kindness and acceptance. Now, sitting in my car, I opened that photo again. It was crystal clear. Sarah's face. Thomas's face. Their positioning left nothing, absolutely nothing, to interpretation. I took a screenshot of Sarah's message about Leo. Then, I opened the family group chat and uploaded that photo from last July. My caption was simple, and this is why I'm pro-choice. I hit send before any second thoughts could creep in. My phone instantly started ringing. Sarah's name flashed across the screen. I declined. She called again. Declined. Again. Declined. 14 times in 6 minutes. The group chat went dead silent for exactly 30 seconds. Then it just detonated. My mom's message, all caps, delete that right now. My dad, what is happening? Uncle David, good grief. Cousin Olivia, Sarah. Mark's brother, is that Thomas? I switched my phone to silent and went inside. The house felt unnervingly quiet. Leo wouldn't be home for another hour. I had time. Time to think, to process, to maybe even undo what I'd just done. Instead, I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, watching my screen relentlessly light up with incoming messages and calls. My mom arrived 37 minutes later. She didn't knock. Just used her emergency key and burst through the front door like the house was on fire. Are you insane? She yelled before she even saw me. Do you have any idea what you've done? I looked up from my coffee. About the same thing Sarah did, I imagine. The word photo got stuck in her throat. Her face was flushed, that telltale sign she was fighting back tears. You've destroyed her marriage. Her reputation. Mark's family is already calling. His mother is in hysterics. And what about my son? The words came out softer than I'd intended. What about Leo's reputation? His feelings? 47 people saw her declare his existence a mistake. She didn't mean it like that. Then how did she mean it, Mom? I stood up, my chair screeching against the floor. Explain to me the correct way to interpret, my nephew is why I'm pro-choice. My mom's mouth opened, then snapped shut. She looked older, suddenly, so weary in a way I hadn't ever truly noticed. She was upset, she finally said. She told me yesterday that Leo had an outburst at her house last weekend. He broke one of her decorative plates. She was venting. So, she vented to 47 relatives about how my son, my disabled son, shouldn't exist. Don't put words in her mouth. Mom, I'm reading her actual words. The ones she typed and sent to our entire family. We stood there in my kitchen, the afternoon sun slicing through the windows, and for the first time in my life, my mother looked at me like I was a stranger. You need to delete that photo, she said. No. Think about Leo, when he sees what you've done, he already saw what Sarah did. I picked up my phone, showed her the screen. He texted me 20 minutes ago. He screenshotted her message before I posted anything. He asked me why Aunt Sarah hates him. My mom's face went completely pale. He's 13 years old, I continued, and he had to read his aunt's opinion about whether he deserves to exist. So, no, I am not deleting anything. Sarah made a choice to publicly humiliate my son. I made a choice to respond with the truth about who she really is. This isn't about truth. This is about vengeance. You're right. It absolutely is. My mom left without another word. She didn't slam the door, and somehow, that felt even worse. Leo came home at 3:45 p.m. I heard his key in the lock, his backpack thudding onto the entryway floor, his usual routine, shoes off, jacket on the hook, then a straight shot to the kitchen for whatever snacks I'd left out. He appeared in the doorway, and I could tell he'd been crying. His eyes were red, his face blotchy. Hey, Bug, I said, my voice soft. He didn't answer. Just walked over and wrapped his arms around me, his face pressed against my shoulder. He was almost as tall as me now, growing so fast I could barely keep up. But in that moment, he felt so small. I don't understand, he mumbled into my shirt. I thought she loved me. I held him tighter. I know. She bought me that signed comic for my birthday. We watched all those documentaries together. She said I was her favorite nephew. You are your dad's family's favorite nephew. You're Aunt Michelle's favorite. Cousin Olivia texts me constantly, asking when you can visit. But Aunt Sarah made a terrible choice, Bug. One she doesn't get to take back. He pulled away, wiping his face with his sleeve. Everyone's talking about it. My cousin showed me the group chat. All those messages. I'm so sorry you had to see that. Did you really post a photo of her? His voice held something I couldn't quite identify. Not judgment, exactly. More like curiosity. Maybe I did. Why? I could have lied. Could have said it was protective instinct, or temporary insanity, or anything that would let me hold on to the moral high ground. But Leo deserved honesty. Because I was angry. Because she hurt you, and I wanted to hurt her back. He considered this for a long moment, his expression serious in that way that always reminded me he was far more perceptive than people gave him credit for. Okay, he finally said. Okay, she was mean to me first. You were mean to her second. That seems fair. I almost laughed aloud. The sheer simplicity of 13-year-old logic applied to an impossibly complicated situation. It's not really about fair, I told him. What I did was what she deserved, he said with such certainty. She told everyone I shouldn't exist. You told everyone she's a liar. She's worse. Before I could even formulate a response, my phone rang again. Not Sarah this time. Mark. I answered on speaker, so Leo could hear. You've destroyed everything. Mark's voice was raw, barely controlled. My parents are demanding I file for divorce. My business partner, Thomas, just resigned. Sarah won't stop crying. Our kids are asking questions we can't answer. Are you happy now? Are you calling to apologize for what your wife said about my son? Silence. That's what I thought. I said what she said was wrong. I told her that. But what you did, sharing that photo, it's cruel. It's vindictive. It's proportional. The word came from Leo. He'd moved closer to the phone, his jaw set. She said I shouldn't be alive. Mom showed everyone she's a cheater. Which one is worse, Uncle Mark? More silence. Listen, Leo, buddy, she didn't mean, yeah, she did. Leo's voice didn't waver. And now everyone knows what she really thinks and what she really does. Mom just made it fair. Mark hung up. Over the next 3 days, my phone was a relentless stream of chaos. Family members chose sides. Some hailed me as a hero, others condemned me as a monster. Aunt Michelle started a separate group chat without Sarah, then was immediately criticized for being divisive. Cousin Olivia posted a sprawling Facebook essay about family loyalty that somehow managed to insult everyone. Sarah's friends attacked me on social media. I was a bitter older sister, jealous of her success, exploiting my son's disability for sympathy, a vindictive wretch who'd betrayed family trust. But then, parents of Leo's friends started reaching out. Quiet messages of support. Parents of other children with disabilities who'd faced similar comments, similar attitudes. A whole network of people who understood exactly why I had done what I did. On the 4th day, Sarah showed up at my house. No warning, no call ahead, just her car in my driveway at 7 in the morning, her silhouette dark through the frosted glass of my front door. I almost didn't answer. But then I thought about Leo, still asleep upstairs, and how he'd asked me the night before if his aunt would ever apologize. I opened the door. Sarah looked utterly terrible. Her hair was unwashed, pulled back in a messy ponytail. No makeup. Clothes that looked like she'd slept in them. The polished, perfect version of my sister had completely vanished. "Can we talk?" she asked. I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. We stood on my front porch in the early morning cold, our breath visible in the crisp air. "I'm leaving Mark," she said. "The divorce papers are already being drawn up. His family won't speak to me. Thomas's wife served him papers yesterday. My charitable foundation asked me to step down from the board. I've lost everything." I waited. "You did this," she continued. "You destroyed my entire life over one comment. One comment about my child." I was angry. Leo had broken something expensive, and I was venting, and yes, I said something horrible, but I didn't mean it. You meant it. I kept my voice flat. Maybe you regret it now, but in that moment, you absolutely meant it. You think raising Leo is too hard. You think his life is less valuable. You think I made the wrong choice. Her face crumpled. He's difficult. You can't deny that. The meltdowns, the special accommodations, the constant doctor appointments. Your whole life revolves around managing his conditions. My whole life revolves around loving my son. And what about you? What about your career, your relationships, your freedom? You gave up everything. I gave up nothing that mattered. The words came out hard, sharp. Leo didn't ruin my life. He is my life. And if you can't understand that, then losing you is no loss at all. Sarah's tears started then, real and messy. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll apologize to Leo. I'll post a public apology. I'll do whatever you want. Just please delete that photo. Please help me fix this. Please. You made a choice to humiliate a 13-year-old boy in front of his entire family. Those consequences are yours to live with. But you made a choice, too. You chose to expose my affair, to ruin my marriage. I chose to respond to cruelty with truth. If the truth destroyed your marriage, maybe your marriage deserved to be destroyed. She stared at me, mascara-stained tears tracing paths down her face. We're sisters. We were. I went back inside and locked the door. Through the frosted glass, I watched her silhouette stand there for 5 more minutes before she finally walked back to her car. Leo came downstairs an hour later, already dressed for school. Was that Aunt Sarah's car I heard? Yes. Did she apologize? She did. To you or to me? To me. About the consequences she's facing? He poured himself cereal, his movements careful and methodical. So, not a real apology. No, bug. Not a real one. Good. I don't want to talk to her anyway. The family fractures only deepened over the following weeks. Thanksgiving was cancelled. Christmas plans dissolved into competing gatherings. Team Sarah versus Team Me, as cousin Olivia sarcastically dubbed it. My mom stopped speaking to me entirely. My dad sent occasional texts, brief and neutral, carefully avoiding any position. But Leo seemed lighter. He printed out screenshots of supportive messages from relatives and pinned them to his bulletin board. Aunt Michelle's message, "You're perfect exactly as you are." Uncle David's, "Your mom's a warrior, and you're lucky to have her." Cousin Olivia's, "Anyone who doesn't see how awesome you are is blind." Look at all these people who love me, he said one night, pointing to his bulletin board. I didn't know there were so many. There were always this many. We just couldn't see them before. He considered this. So, Aunt Sarah being mean actually helped? In a weird way, maybe it did. Mark's parents arrived at my house on a Saturday morning, 2 weeks after the explosion. I was pulling weeds in the front garden when their Mercedes pulled up to the curb. Leo was inside, playing video games, completely unaware of the visit. Brenda and Robert. I'd met them maybe a dozen times over the years, holiday gatherings, milestone celebrations. They'd always been cordial but distant, the kind of wealthy retirees who measured people by zip codes and college degrees. Brenda approached first, her designer handbag clutched like a shield. We need to discuss this situation. I stood up, brushing dirt from my jeans. What situation would that be? Don't be coy. Robert's voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to boardrooms and deference. You've humiliated our family. Our son is a wreck. Our grandchildren are confused and traumatized. This vendetta of yours needs to end. Vendetta implies I started something. I simply responded. By destroying a marriage. Brenda's voice cracked. By exposing private matters to the entire world. Your daughter-in-law exposed my son to public ridicule first. She told 47 people that his existence was a mistake. She was frustrated. Robert said. Parents get frustrated. It doesn't justify what you did. Actually, it does. I crossed my arms. See, frustration is normal. Venting is normal. But Sarah didn't vent to a friend or a therapist. She chose a public forum with our entire family present, including the child she was talking about. That's not frustration. That's cruelty. Brenda dabbed her eyes with a tissue. She's lost everything. Her marriage, her reputation, her position at the foundation. Isn't that enough? I didn't make her cheat on your son. I didn't make her write that message about Leo. I just stopped letting her pretend to be someone she's not. We came here to ask you to remove that photo, Robert said. Mark is willing to work through the affair if you'll just give them a chance to repair things privately. The sheer audacity stunned me into silence for a moment. Mark wants to reconcile with someone who thinks disabled children shouldn't exist. She doesn't think that. Those were her exact words. My nephew is why I'm pro-choice, there's no other interpretation. Brenda stepped closer. We're prepared to offer compensation. Name your price. Remove the photo. Issue a public apology, and we'll make it worth your while. A laugh burst out of me before I could stop it. You're trying to bribe me? We're trying to salvage what's left of our family, Robert said coldly. Something you clearly don't value. My family is inside that house, I said, probably building something elaborate out of Legos right now. Your family, the one you're trying to save, includes a woman who told my 13-year-old son that he's a mistake. We are not the same. They left without another word. Through the front window, I saw Leo watching, his face pressed against the glass. When I came inside, he had questions. What did they want? To fix things for Sarah? Did they ask about me? About what she said? The fragile hope in his voice shattered something inside me. No, Bug. They didn't. His expression shuttered closed. Oh. But that tells you everything you need to know about them, doesn't it? He nodded slowly. They care more about her reputation than my feelings. Exactly. Then I'm glad you didn't help them. The school called 3 days later. Leo had been in a fight. Not physical, the vice principal quickly clarified, but a verbal altercation in the cafeteria that resulted in another student crying and Leo receiving detention. I arrived to find him sitting in the main office, arms crossed, his jaw set in stubborn defiance. What happened? I asked once we were in the car. Caleb said his mom told him I was the reason our family was fighting. That I broke everything because I can't act normal. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Caleb, Sarah's oldest son, my nephew. What did you say back? I told him his mom was a cheater and a liar and that's why their parents are getting divorced, not because of me. Leo, it's true. She did cheat. You proved it. I know it's true. But Caleb didn't know. And hearing it that way, at school, in front of his friends, so I'm supposed to let him blame me? His voice rose. Let everyone think I'm the problem. We sat in the school parking lot, engine idling, while Leo's breathing slowly returned to normal. This anger was new. He'd always been such a gentle kid, quick to forgive, slow to hold grudges. But something had shifted in him since Sarah's message. Something had hardened. You're not the problem, I said quietly. But Caleb isn't either. He's just a kid whose world is falling apart, and he's trying to make sense of it by blaming you, by repeating what he's heard at home, which isn't his fault. Leo stared out the window for a long time. I don't want to forgive any of them. You don't have to. Good. That night, I received an email from Sarah's lawyer. A cease and desist letter, demanding I remove the photo from the family group chat and refrain from further harassment of his client. The language was formal, threatening, full of words like defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. I forwarded it to my own lawyer, a woman named Rachel, who specialized in family law. She called me within an hour. This is garbage, Rachel said bluntly. Everything you posted was true. Truth is an absolute defense against defamation. And you posted it once in response to her public statement about your son. That's not harassment. So, I don't have to do anything. Correct. In fact, I'd recommend you document everything. Screenshot her original message, save all the responses, keep a record of every interaction. If she tries to escalate this legally, we'll bury her. The vindication felt good, but it also felt hollow. I'd won a battle, maybe even the war, but the cost was a family that would never speak to each other the same way again. Dr. Evans, Leo's therapist, called it complex grief. Mourning the loss of relationships that were still technically alive, but fundamentally changed. We sat in Dr. Evans's office twice a week, working through Leo's feelings about his aunt, his cousins, the shifting dynamics of family loyalty. Do you wish your mom hadn't posted the photo? Dr. Evans asked during one session. Leo thought about it. Sometimes, when I think about Caleb crying, or when I see how sad my grandma looks, but then I remember what Aunt Sarah said about me, and I'm glad again. Can both things be true? Can you be glad she faced consequences and also sad about the fallout? I guess so. It feels weird, though. Most complex emotions do. After the session, Leo asked if we could get ice cream. We sat outside the shop despite the cold, watching people walk by, saying nothing. Sometimes, silence was better than trying to fix things with words. My mom finally broke her silence 6 weeks after the incident. She showed up at my door on a Tuesday evening, looking utterly exhausted. Can we talk? She asked. We sat in the living room. Leo was at a friend's house for dinner, giving us privacy neither of us had asked for. I don't know how to fix this, my mom said. You're my daughter. Sarah's my daughter. Leo's my grandson. I love all of you. She looked at her hands. But I keep thinking about what she said. Really thinking about it. When Leo was diagnosed, I was scared. Terrified, actually. I didn't know anything about autism or ADHD, and the heart condition on top of everything else felt like too much. I wondered if you'd be okay, if he'd be okay, if any of this was fair. Mom, let me finish. I had those thoughts. Private, shameful thoughts that I never said out loud. And then I watched you raise him, watched him grow into this incredible kid, and those fears just dissolved. He's not a burden. He's not a tragedy. He's Leo. So why are you telling me this? Because I think Sarah got stuck where I started. She saw the challenges and never moved past them to see the child. And when she said what she said, she gave voice to the worst possible version of those fears. My mom's eyes filled with tears. I'm not defending her. What she said was unforgivable, but I understand where it came from, and that makes it harder to completely hate her. I don't hate her, I said. I just can't have her in our lives anymore. I know. And I'm not asking you to change that. I just needed you to know that I see you. I see what you did and why you did it. And I'm sorry I didn't say that sooner. We didn't hug. The gap between us felt too wide for physical gestures. But something shifted. A small movement toward understanding, if not reconciliation. The months continued to pass. Family events became carefully choreographed affairs where guest lists were scrutinized, and dates were chosen to avoid overlap. Sarah attended my dad's birthday dinner while Leo and I went to a movie. I brought Leo to Easter brunch while Sarah stayed home. We existed in separate orbits, our paths carefully managed to never intersect. Cousin Olivia tried to mediate once. She invited both of us to her house under false pretenses, then locked the doors and announced we weren't leaving until we talked things through. This is insane, Sarah said, pacing Olivia's living room. You can't force reconciliation. I can make you sit in the same room, Olivia countered. The rest is up to you. I sat on the couch, watching Sarah wear a path in the carpet. She looked better than she had months ago, hair styled, makeup applied, clothes that suggested she'd started caring about appearances again. I have nothing to say to her, Sarah finally announced. Perfect. Then listen. Olivia turned to me. Tell her how you felt when you read that message. No. Come on. No, Olivia. This isn't a TV show where people have big emotional breakthroughs and everything gets tied up neatly. Sarah said something unforgivable about my son. I responded by exposing her affair. Those are the facts. There's no magical conversation that undoes any of it. But you're family. We are family, I corrected. Now we're just people who share DNA and a very messy history. Sarah, stop pacing. You destroyed my entire life. Don't I get to be angry about that? Be as angry as you want. It doesn't change anything. I lost everything. My marriage, my career, my standing in this family. You took it all. I didn't take anything. I revealed what was already there. You cheated on Mark. You said horrible things about Leo. Those were your choices, not mine. One photo, she said. One mistake, and you made sure everyone knew about it forever. One message. I shot back. One cruel, calculated message about a child, and you expected what? Silence? Forgiveness? Me thanking you for your honesty? Olivia held up her hands. Okay, this isn't working. No kidding, Sarah snapped. She grabbed her purse. Unlock the door. Sarah, now, Olivia. The door unlocked with a click. Sarah left without looking back. I stayed on the couch, feeling nothing in particular. No satisfaction, no regret, just a dull acceptance that some things couldn't be fixed. Olivia sat down beside me, defeated. I really thought if you two just talked, some conversations don't have happy endings. But you were so close growing up. Remember when she helped you study for your college exams? When you drove 8 hours to be there when she had her first baby? I remember all of it. That's what makes this worse, not better. The memories were there, vivid and painful. Sarah braiding my hair before my first date. Me holding her hand in the hospital when Emily was born. Years of sisterhood that felt genuine and real. But none of those moments changed what she'd said about Leo. None of them erased the cruelty. Work became my escape. I'd taken a position as a project manager at a software company 2 years earlier, and now I threw myself into deadlines and deliverables with a frantic intensity. My colleague, Chloe, noticed. You're here before everyone and you leave after everyone, she commented one Thursday evening. Everything okay? Just busy, or avoiding going home? I looked up from my laptop. Chloe had worked in the cubicle next to mine for 18 months. We'd shared countless lunches, complained about management decisions, celebrated project completions with mediocre office cake, but we'd never discussed anything truly personal. Family stuff, I said vaguely. The sister thing. She must have read my expression because she quickly added, sorry, I saw some posts online. People in town talk. Of course they do. Chloe pulled up a chair. My brother hasn't spoken to me in 4 years. He thinks I ruined his wedding by bringing my girlfriend as my plus one. Our parents still try to fix it, keep suggesting family therapy or mediated conversations. Some people just don't understand that broken can be permanent. Exactly. The relief of being understood flooded through me. Everyone wants reconciliation like it's a moral obligation. Forgiveness is optional, especially when someone attacks your kid. We sat there in the empty office, the cleaning crew vacuuming in distant hallways, and I felt less alone than I had in months. Leo's school hosted a parent-teacher conference in October. His teachers praised his work ethic, his creativity, his kindness toward other students. His science teacher, Mr. Henderson, pulled me aside specifically. Leo is exceptional, Mr. Henderson said. He sees connections other students miss. Yesterday, he explained cloud formation using a video game analogy that made the entire class understand instantly. He's always been good at finding patterns. He mentioned he wants to study marine biology. With his grades and his passion, he could get into excellent programs. Pride swelled in my chest. This was the child Sarah thought shouldn't exist. This brilliant, creative, ambitious kid who wanted to save the oceans. On the drive home, Leo asked, "Did Mr. Henderson tell you about the college thing? He did marine biology at a university that actually has oceanfront research facilities. Is that okay? I know it's expensive. Bug, if you want to study fish in the Pacific Ocean while getting a doctorate, we'll figure it out. You're going to do amazing things." He smiled, that crooked grin that still lit up my world. Aunt Sarah said I'd never go to college. Last year, before everything happened, she said kids like me usually end up in group homes or on assistance. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. She said that to you? Not directly. I overheard her talking to Mom at Christmas. She said you were in denial about my limitations. Why didn't you tell me? Because I knew it would make you sad. And I thought maybe she was right. But then I started doing better in school, and Mr. Henderson said I was exceptional, and I realized she doesn't know anything about me. She doesn't. And she never will, because she never bothered to actually look. The anger returned, fresh and sharp. Not just about the group chat message anymore, but about years of subtle dismissals, lowered expectations, comments disguised as concern. Sarah had been undermining Leo long before that Tuesday in the grocery store. Thanksgiving arrived with its usual complicated logistics. My dad hosted, attempting a neutral gathering that somehow satisfied no one. Sarah declined to attend. Her kids went to Mark's parents' house. Leo and I showed up with pumpkin pie and forced smiles. "Where's Aunt Sarah?" my little cousin Maya asked innocently. She had other plans, my mom said quickly. Because of the fight. Eat your turkey, sweetie. The meal was awkward. Conversation stilted and carefully neutral. People avoided mentioning Sarah's name like it was cursed. Leo sat beside me, pushing food around his plate, clearly uncomfortable. In the car afterward, he said, "That was terrible." Yeah, it was. Next year, can we just have Thanksgiving alone? Maybe invite Aunt Michelle and Cousin Olivia. Absolutely. The idea of building our own traditions, separate from the fractured family dynamics, felt like permission to breathe. We didn't need forced gatherings and uncomfortable silences. We could create something better. Leo started high school that fall. New building, new teachers, new social dynamics to navigate. He joined the environmental club and started volunteering at an animal shelter on weekends. Life moved forward the way it always does, indifferent to family drama and broken relationships. Months after the incident, I received a letter in the mail. Real paper, a real envelope, with a handwritten address. The return address was Sarah's. Inside was a single page. "I understand now that you'll never forgive me. I understand that what I said was unforgivable. I don't expect reconciliation. I just wanted you to know that I've started therapy. I'm working on understanding why I said what I said, why I felt what I felt. The therapist says I was projecting my own fears about inadequacy and control. That doesn't excuse anything. It just explains it. I hope Leo is well. I hope he knows that my words were about my failures, not his worth. He deserves better than what I gave him. You both do." No signature, just those words. I showed Leo the letter. He read it twice, then handed it back to me. "Do you want to respond?" I asked. "No. She's right that she can't be forgiven. Not by me, anyway. That's very mature. I learned it from you." He smiled, small but genuine. "You didn't forgive her either." "No, I didn't. Because some things are too big to forgive." "Yes." He nodded, satisfied with this conclusion, and went back to his comic books. I kept the letter in my desk drawer. Some nights, I'd take it out and reread it, searching for something between the lines. Genuine remorse, maybe, or just another manipulation. I could never quite decide. But it didn't matter. The damage was permanent. The family would never recover its previous shape. Sarah's life had fundamentally changed. Her reputation shattered. Her marriage ended, her perfect facade destroyed. And Leo knew with absolute certainty that I would defend him against anyone, even family, especially family. 6 months later, Leo asked me a question while we were making Sunday breakfast together. Do you regret posting that photo? I flipped a pancake, watching it brown. Sometimes I regret how much it hurt other people. Mark didn't deserve to find out that way. Their kids didn't need to see their family explode publicly. But I paused. I don't regret defending you. I don't regret making sure everyone knew the truth about someone who pretended to love you while secretly believing you shouldn't exist. He nodded, pouring more batter into the pan. Good. Because I'm glad you did it. Yeah. She needed everyone to know who she really was. Otherwise, she'd keep pretending, and I'd keep thinking she cared about me, and eventually, she'd say something even worse. That's very wise, Bug. I'm 13 now. Practically an adult, he grinned, that crooked smile that lit up his whole face. Plus, I learned from the best. We finished breakfast together, the kitchen filled with the comforting smell of butter and maple syrup, the winter sun streaming through the windows. Outside, the world continued spinning, family drama slowly fading into background noise. But inside my kitchen, everything was exactly as it should be. My son, happy and loved, absolutely certain of his worth. And me, his mother, who'd burned down half the family tree to make sure he knew it. No regrets. Have you ever had to choose between protecting your child and preserving a family relationship?